Daddy, what are you doing?
We're recording a podcast.
Who's listening?
Islander fans are listening.
Where are they?
Well, they're right here.
Welcome to the Isles Faithful Podcast with your host, Michael Sherline.
Hello, and welcome back to the Isles Faithful Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Sherline. This is episode 11. Today is Thursday, October 18th, and we are getting ready for the 10:30 game out in Los Angeles against the Los Angeles Kings. The Islanders have played a couple of games on this road trip so far. They lost to Nashville over the weekend, and they lost to the Ducks last night, which Barry Trotz said was a great effort, an effort he would take on the road every game, as much as it didn't have the outcome that they wanted. Now, I missed the game last night and on Saturday. Saturday, I had an event at Blue Point Brewery. It was their 20th anniversary party, so I just got to follow along on Twitter. And unfortunately, last night, I fell asleep to the sweet, sweet sounds of Brendan Burke and Butch Goring in the pregame. So I didn't even make it to the puck drop. Go figure. But I watched the highlights, and it did seem like a good game. So we also have some stuff that happened this week, some roster ups and downs, and people who've been promoted and scratched, and I'm not really going to go into all that much. It just seems like it's the same group of players that keep getting substituted back and forth in for everybody else. But the biggest thing was Jan Kovac today signing a PTO with the AHL Bruins. Here's a guy who didn't want to play in Bridgeport. Now he's signing a PTO for a different AHL team. So I don't know. It's a situation that I can't really wrap my head around. We talked about it a little bit later on in this episode, that they didn't give him a chance. Maybe they saw something they didn't like, or didn't really like the way that his game suited the North American style. I don't know. I'm not an expert in these things. I can only go based on what the experts say. So take it at face value, and what could have been, Jan? What could have been? So tonight we did something a little different in this episode, and it's going to sound a little different, and things like this will evolve as we move along. So I mean, hopefully you guys all understand. It was fun to do. But I've talked about this in the past. I wanted to bring people on via the Discord channel that I set up. And one of the Reddit users, Nick, thank you again, Nick. You were a big help tonight. Set it up so that we could bring people in one at a time. And we had a nice little chat going. Hopefully it sounds good. But, in the future, if you guys want, keep an eye out for a link, and we'll kind of evolve as we go along. We'll do like a round table, or we'll do like a typical call-in. It's up to you guys. It's really something that is for you guys, the fans. I know there's not a whole heck of a lot of avenues for stuff like this. So give it a listen and let me know what you think. It's okay if you don't like it too. Just let me know. All right, welcome back to the Isles Faithful Podcast. This is episode 11, and we're going to do something a little different this week. We are in a Discord channel, believe it or not, and we're going to take some callers. So we're going to kind of give people a little bit of a chance to talk about their Islander fandom, talk about current events, and talk about the game tonight at 10 o'clock in L.A. So first up, who wants to be first? Puck, you're up. So here we go.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Good to be here.
All right, first let's start off, man. How long you been a fan of the team? Are you a season ticket holder?
I'm a season ticket holder. Back in the season ticket holder action because of mainly because of the Coliseum presence being back. Just kind of felt something a little bit differently with the Barclays Center. Made the trip, it's a little bit of a trip sometimes. Be able to go out there, you lose, and it's an hour and a half back. Just kind of being like, should I have been gone? People don't really cheer. and have that same passion when the Coliseum's gone.
I hear you. I'm actually going next week on the 24th. Now, I live all the way in eastern Suffolk, so I work in
Yeah,
Patchogue, so I drive to Bethpage. My dad lives in Bethpage, and I take the train from there, so I definitely feel you on the commute.
yeah. Oh, I've been a fan since my first game was the Fisherman era. I got a Fisherman jersey, Fisherman puck. My first game, I think we won, beat Montreal. I think it was 3-1 with Tommy Sallow in net, and I was hooked ever since. I think I was about 6 years old, 1996 season.
Wow. Yeah, I've been a fan my whole life. I'm 38, so like I said, I grew up in Bethpage. I had season tickets for about 10 years up until 2012 when I moved out east. And I don't know if you're aware, I was part of the blog box when they had the whole blog box thing and everything. So
Yeah, Mark Parrish. It was great to hear him on there. Actually, I remember specifically going to the opener in 2000 against the Flames, where we had Beezer in net. We got shut out 2-0, but Scatcherd and Parrish actually were outside, the Coliseum. They set up a little area and they did autographs after the game. I told them obviously how great they played. They were like, "Nah, we wish we played a little better for you guys tonight." But I still remember being ecstatic. Just how nice they were. I'll never forget. Mark Parrish. Being a really nice guy.
that was the cool part about the Coliseum is you knew if you went over by where the players exited from the underground, they would always stop
Well,
and write,
well, actually,
give you
yeah. I
autographs.
mean,
And
I had done that a couple of times actually as well when they drive out. Of course, Grabner never stopped his car one time, but he was about the only guy that never stopped. But this time they actually had put it on the board that after the game that specifically Scatcherd and Parrish would be doing this. So it was honestly just like right outside, where you normally would enter the Coliseum. Scatcherd and Parrish were just like right there, on the Coliseum, the concrete right outside.
do you still have season tickets?
No, I have a full season for this year because it made no sense to, I was going to get all the Coliseum games, and they kind of overpriced those a little bit to the point where, I actually got the full season for the same price that I would have spent getting just the 20 Coliseum games, which sounded crazy. So my friend and I both, got a ticket each. We had 2 seats. Going to as many Barclays games as I can go to, but I'm, looking forward to those Coliseum games for sure.
I am too, man. This is it's going to be a fun year, especially with all the changes and whatnot.
I'll just might as well go ahead and say also my favorite memory. Still, might as well play my favorite Islanders memory. We all have it. We'll all share that. Still, Sean Bates penalty shot goal, 2002 playoffs. Went to every home game that year. I was about 12 years old. My dog's name is Bates in honor of that as well. That's the best. Still the best memory in Islanders history for me.
And like Mark said, it's one of those moments that I still hear in my head. I was there. I was there all those games, and it was just insane. You still
It
might
was just it was
crazy.
just too bad we couldn't have the 4 seed that year. We really would have done it. We
Yeah,
really would. Just that one extra home game really could have done it.
I believe so too. Saints, you're up. You're unmuted. Go for it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem, man.
So I've been a fan, I guess, ever since I saw hockey. My parents saw all 4 cups. They grew up in Uniondale and Hempstead, so there was no other rooting for any other team besides the Islanders, even though they weren't that good growing up until 2002 when I went to the Coliseum for that Bates game.
All right. Now, have you had season tickets at any point in time?
I have not. In about 2 years, I'm looking forward to doing season tickets with my buddy
Nice.
because I just graduated college and all that. So
it's fun, but it's it's hard to explain. It gets to a point, and Puck might agree to this when he comes back on. Sometimes, it's like, oh, there's another hockey game tonight. Like there's other things that I can be doing, and then you go and you're spending money on food, you're spending money on a beer or two, and it adds up over time. You don't really realize when it's spread out over 41 home games how much you could
Yeah.
spend, but it's definitely one of those things. If you're a fan, you're a fan. I love hockey. There is absolutely nothing in the world like this sport.
No, this sport's amazing.
Now, give us I don't know. What do you feel we should know? This is like kind of awkward. I'm trying to get a feel for how we can, keep this going here.
No, yeah. Yeah, I want to own season tickets, but like right now, I try to go to as many games as possible. Like I went to the Sharks Islander game on that Monday, Columbus Day, and what annoyed me is even though there was 8,000 people there that day, you could hear a pin drop when we had the puck, when we got a big kill, a big save, big time goal, just so quiet. Is that because the roof is high and not low like the Coliseum, or what?
Yeah, like it's a little higher. That obviously the arena's very different to the Coliseum. But that place rocked during the playoffs. It was on par with the way that the Coliseum was. It was a fun atmosphere that you could tell the players were into it. And all right, I was there as well. I took my stepson to the game where Hickey scored in overtime. My wife picked
I
the
was
game.
there too. Yeah, I was there too.
My wife actually picked that Sunday game when Tavares scored in double OT to advance too. So she witnessed me cry like a little baby. It was the first time in my adult life that they had made it past the first round. So she knew, the severity of what she had just witnessed, but not really the extent of what we were feeling. But it was definitely a cool experience walking back to the train and, everyone embracing Brooklyn and that and walking through the streets chanting "Let's go Islanders." It was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I think because my section was just crazy and rowdy the whole game. I just smelled like beer on the train, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Had no voice. Celebrating with anyone that had an Islander jersey. The streets were flooded with fans just going absolutely nuts. It was awesome.
Definitely
And I need that again.
I think
Just
that's
like so long ago.
That's the goal, Lou and Trotz and everyone involved wants to get us back to what it was back in the 70s and 80s, and hopefully it happens in short order, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a little bit. All right, who else is up?
I can pitch in if you want.
All right, go for it, Nick.
Probably the weird one here. So I'm Nick. I don't have a Twitter or anything, but I guess I'll try again. I guess I'm a foreign fan. I lived in Long Island. I lived in Farmingville. I've lived in Tampa for probably about 11, 12 years now, but still an Islanders fan.
All right, are you involved with the meetup group down there in Tampa?
I'm pretty new to the whole thing. I didn't know they even had one.
Yeah, we had them on a couple of episodes ago. So there's a bunch of meetup groups. There's Isles Meetup Tampa. There's Isles Meetup Philly. There's one in DC. There's Isles Meetup Charlotte. They were at the home opener. It was the season opener for the Islanders as well. So they met down at the Hurricanes game, and there was a whole big thing on Islanders.com, and the Islanders Twitter made a big thing of it. Yes Men Outfitters is a kind of like a local celebrity here on Long Island. He makes all sorts of awesome designs and everything, and he had made a rally towel and a T-shirt to hand out, and it was an awesome thing. So I've been kind of promoting those guys on the podcast because I think what they're doing is awesome, and I actually plan on not the Tampa one, but I'm going to definitely make Philly. I know there's a game coming up on the 27th that I couldn't make, but I will get you that information.
Yeah, man. I know November 8th, the Islanders are going to be in Tampa, and that'll actually be the first game I've ever seen. like hockey or Islanders, to be honest with you.
Wow. So you're definitely going to be in for a treat, that's for sure.
I hope so.
All
I
right.
mean, winter lose will be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you're getting on board at a good time. Everything is on the uptick here, so you never got to sit through in person anyway the atrociousness that we had to deal with the last couple of years.
Well, I think I started probably about midway through last year, so I watched this the dumpster fire, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. That was the second half of the last season. But I guess a topic, I don't know if you want to ask these other two, is like, what are your expectations for this season? Is this like, I'm sure you've voiced your opinion on this already, but maybe what do they think? Is this a winning season? Is this a tank season? Get a good draft? What is the
I don't think that they're gonna tank. No. Lou Lamoriello is not the type of guy who tanks. Um, I could see them maybe moving players out towards the trade deadline if they're out of it. But they're going to play their hearts out. They're going to install the systems that Barry Trotz wants them to play. And now, obviously, as we've seen through 5 games this season, there's going to be some growing pains. You've got players who aren't used to coaching like this. And Andrew Gross of Newsday had, I believe Arthur Staple as well, had said that Lane Lambert kind of laced into them for some missed stuff on a penalty kill, and there was some unpleasantries exchanged and foul language, and it was good to hear that there's actual coaching and teachable moments that are being kind of glazed over because these guys know what they want to see, and when they don't see it, you're going to do the drill again. So at a certain point, you're going to start to see the players kind of, everything becomes second nature. The more repetition there is in drills, the more comfortable in the systems the players get. It translates on ice. And I know the on ice personnel, to an extent, is still up in the air. We've got players coming in and out of the lineup, and we're going to see a couple of players back in tonight in Matt Martin and a couple other guys. So they're going to find the right balance of people, and then hopefully they're going to start winning some hockey games on the regular.
is that something you think? Like, obviously they're all new to the organization, but is this like do you think that's going to be a season long thing? Like they're just going to, they're going to try all these different lines, this sort of thing, promote from the AHL, that sort of stuff? Or do you think it's just going to be like a first quarter or whatever of the season, we test these lines, find something that works and stick?
I think they're going to just see, like they've been saying, they're going to evaluate on the fly. They're going to see what they have. They're going to see who's going to work, or they're going to see who's not. Like we just saw with Kovash, they brought him in on a 1-year deal for $2 million, and then they wound up terminating the contract, and he signed with the AHL Bruins today on a PTO. So they're going to look for the low risk guy where they can hopefully get a couple of goals out of, and they'll bring up some of the kids from Bridgeport, fill in some holes with injuries and whatnot. But I don't see like a major trade shaking out or anything, if that's what you're asking. We're pretty much just going to have what we have and see where it plays out. So to that end, I know that doesn't really sound like a whole positive thing, but we're only 5 games in, and you never really
Doesn't
know.
have to be bad either.
Yeah, you never really know what's going to happen. Puck, you want to be back up?
Okay. All right, lead the way. Where we going?
All right. So now, what's your opinion on the whole Jan Kovash thing and some of the roster things? Give me your opinion.
Uh, it's not overly terrible, but I honestly am a little disappointed not even just getting to see what the guy looked like for one single NHL game. Because I did see the effort in the preseason, enough for me to want to see what he can give out there, because even his coach from the KHL was pumping him up, talking about how he's a warrior out there. You always want a guy on your team that's spoken of like that. at least for a game.
I watched what games I could watch that were broadcast for the preseason, and he didn't look too out of place. He definitely looked a little slow, maybe a little
Yeah,
too methodical. Then again, I'm someone who is on the outside professionally evaluating these guys, so my trust is in obviously Barry Trotz number one and Lou Lamoriello second. Um, so if they didn't see something, I'm gonna have to go with their opinion. As bad optically as it could look, and is what's speculated with some Russian players moving forward. Or it
yeah.
just
I mean,
it is what it
at,
is.
at best he's yeah. I mean, at best he's anyway. Not really anything. Like even if you let's say best case scenario gave us 55 points playing with some of our pretty good wingers, it wouldn't have really meant much regardless. So it's not as if he's a championship second line center anyway.
Right. And that's the shame of it is we need the center depth, and we don't have a whole heck of a lot here coming up through Bridgeport. So that Lou Lamoriello is going to look to upgrade the center position. And we don't know really even what's going to happen with Brock Nelson after this season. I mean, he's off to a slow start. He did look good the other night from the little bits and pieces that I saw. Especially last night, I was so excited that hockey was back, and I don't know if you saw me write this on Twitter. I fell asleep during the pregame, and I woke up at the midway point of the third period, and I went to bed. I get up crazy early in the morning, so these late games are like absolute murder on me.
It's gonna be even worse tonight with 10:30 start.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna maybe make a period and watch the highlights tomorrow, I guess. But
Yeah.
so take us into like Brock Nelson and some of the other roster spots, like with Jordan Eberle too. You think both those guys are going to be back?
So with Brock Nelson and Jordan Eberle, I don't really see a long-term future for them. If I'm the general manager for the team, I'm looking to trade them off for some pieces, just because if Eberle's not willing to take a pay cut, and we know what Brock Nelson is. I like what I'm seeing so far in terms of the effort this season, but we know as far as what we're truly going to maximum get out of Brock Nelson. He's not truly a center. He should be playing wing, and he's at max a third line player on a real contender. So at his price, I don't see a future for him as well.
Yeah, it's a tough thing when a player is in the plans, in the fold, and they just don't seem to be able to live up to the expected potential. But that's hockey, right?
Yeah, we know as far as what great looks like, so he can't fool us anymore. I mean, we've watched too much Islanders hockey to think that even a stretch of 60 great games this season where you, you're just not going to get that over like a 6-year deal for Brock Nelson.
No. I mean, he has high side and there is potential there, and unfortunately, sometimes players need a change of scenery in order to kind of get kick started, and it's a shame when a homegrown guy like Brock, who other people and if you listen to the Parish episode, Mark
Love the
raves.
guy.
Yeah.
Nothing against the guy.
Right.
I don't. He has a little bit of a timidness to him as well. The Islanders are looking to change their culture. This is a perfect move to get rid of someone like this.
Absolutely.
Especially, in the pipe, when you have guys like Bellows and Wallstrom, those are some pretty exciting players to be able to throw in your wings there. You do not need what is truly a winger, Brock Nelson, just playing a second line center spot right now, but in no way, shape, or form is that man a center that you want on a championship caliber team.
No.
No.
I guess that's debatable. I mean, good Brock Nelson that's scoring on the regular, yes, but Brock Nelson that disappears for 15, 16 games at a time, no. Just to clarify.
Definitely not.
All right.
Anthony Beauvillier, though, well, he truly could be a great center if we just, haven't given him that opportunity as well.
He's been struggling too as of late, so I don't know if it's just, again.
No, not even saying as of now to slot him there, but in the future, he could hopefully flourish into that, top 3 center.
If they want to move him to the center, though, I mean, he's been successful or had success on Barzil's wings. So, I mean, do you really want to monkey with that? Ultimately, though, there's another option there that they can try him out at center should they need, but
I don't know. I see him in that, type of guy that could really, cover the space needed for a reliable center. They've already fiddled around with it as well, with Ladd being on the left wing now, right? So Beauvillier truly is lost, I guess, in the moment.
Absolutely. And I believe Ladd looked pretty good considering, he missed the first couple weeks of the season the other night. Like I said, I didn't catch the game, but I know he scored in his first game.
He's looking good. He's looking good. I really hope his back can hold up, because when his back is not hurting, you could tell. He's engaged. He's, holding onto the puck more, not looking to just throw it away. And you can kind of tell when his back is, acting up. He really can't get much on his shot. He really can't get much on anything, and he's not fooling anyone out there. So all the best for him, and, stretching, making sure he's doing whatever he has to do. No fishing, whatever, whatever any extracurriculars he's doing. Just if he can keep his back straight, score 25 goals, that'd be huge.
Well, we need a big year out of him, especially at what they're paying him and what's left on his contract. So,
and what we sacrificed, to get him, in my mind, we sacrificed, just giving Kyle Opozo what he deserved, to go and get a guy like Ladd because of the pedigree, the championship, all that, and just kind of did a 1-for-1 with Kyle for Ladd there, and lost obviously.
In hindsight, though, look what Kyle has gone through, and it would probably be no different with him with the injuries, and he's been struggling in Buffalo. He hasn't really been the prolific scorer that he was. So I mean,
very true. But long term, if you're looking just at the deal, it still has 5 more years on it, and I'd rather have. I mean, obviously, it's all Captain Hindsight here, but I'd rather have 5 more years of Kyle at what he is than 5 more years of Ladd at what we know we're looking at.
All right, true there. Now we're gonna bring Saints back, so we'll get back to you. All right. Welcome back, Saints. What you got for us?
I don't think it's a tank year. Trotz is not. They wouldn't have hired Trotz if that was the case.
No,
I think they're not going to be as bad as everyone thinks. I think they're going to be a bubble team, and if they're not in the hunt come trade deadline, Eberle will be traded. Brock will be traded. If Anders Lee's not locked up, he'll be traded.
Oh, he'll be locked up. You can mark that down.
Oh, I hope so. Who else? I think Letty might be traded if he doesn't turn it on. He's been pretty bad the last 2 years.
But that's the thing. As much as players have struggled, in Brock Nelson and Nick Letty, the players like that still have value, because just because you struggle on one team, you could be a victim of systems. You could be a victim of, minutes. You could be a victim of a bunch of different things. So there's always going to be a general manager out there who will want to take a risk in in bringing you into their club, because in their eyes, their club's better. So I mean, yeah, the value is not like the highest. If Nick Leddy was the Nick Leddy when we first traded for him, obviously the value would be at his highest. His first 2 seasons here, he was amazing.
No, he was so good.
But and I don't look at plus minus.
Oh, I don't either. That's just the stupidest stat in the book.
I don't look at it the way like analytics does. Like, oh, here's a guy who's minus 27. Oh, all right. Well, the guy's out there in tough matchup situations. He's out there on the penalty kill. He's out there on the power play. He's out there against the best lines, the best forwards. So what do you think's going to happen? He's going to wind up being out there for all these like high danger shots and everything else. And, he may even play his guy perfectly, but that doesn't necessarily mean his defensive partner is going to do his job or the goaltender is going to do their job. So, I mean, there's so many different variables that go into plus minus. Sure, it's a stat that, may be important in the grand scheme of things, but I don't really look into it all that much.
I think Mayfield or Adam Pellich could be traded as well. Good.
I mean, yeah, we've got.
It's like a good cap hit, but like whoever's looking for like an extra D-man come playoff time, those are always.
I feel like the Islanders have a bunch of defensemen that are cut from the same mold, and Garth Snow kind of went through the last couple of drafts that he was in charge of, including that one draft where the only thing they did was pick defensemen. So, ultimately, yes, is the defensive position important? Sure. Do we have some gems in Ryan Pulock and, upcoming, eventually, soon to be here, hopefully soon, Devin Taves? 100%. And then we got Boychuk who's breaking down. You got Leddy who's been struggling. So, I mean, you got that too.
Yeah. But once Eberle's traded and Nelson, I think Bellows, Hosang both come up. They may move Bo to center because I'm pretty sure that was his starting position. And they just, like they did with Bailey, he was a center. Now let's move him to wing. See what he can do.
Yep. Now, what's your opinion on the stuff this week with Kovash and even Gianta?
I don't know why they wouldn't just keep Kovash if they knew Cizikas was hurt and just let Kovash play that one game, see what he had. Because Gianta's been done for what, 2.5 years now, like playing but not what he was. I don't know. Kovac kind of killed himself by just saying, I'm not equipped for this rink or whatever he said that day. That pretty much just put the nail in the coffin. He wasn't ready for the NHL.
It's funny, as we're sitting here talking about him, Andrew Gross just posted an article. It says Lou Lamoriello on why Isles aren't upset that Jan Kovac changed his mind. But unfortunately, I can't read it because there's a paywall now. So there's that.
Yeah. Bridgeport wasn't an option. I saw that, which makes total sense now.
How about the game that's coming up in an hour?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could talk about that.
Anything on that one?
I did see that Jonathan Quick is going to be in net. That was kind of a little surprise there. I'm glad that Robin Leonard's going to be in. Not only because I have him in fantasy, but also because they're already in this young season. I think that I have more confidence in him. It looks like the team has more confidence when he's in net. So, and it stinks because I want Grice to be as good as he was, in the first game. I want him to be as good as he was when he backstopped us when Halak went down, and basically we got carried into the playoffs by him. So, all right, puck's gonna come back. Now I'm wondering, as you know, we're going back and forth, if almost we should do this in the future as like a round table and kind of just try not to step on everyone. If we have like four people like this, it might be good to just you know.
Got to be pretty good with the not art. That would be pretty good though. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Get all of us in there. But just take off what the I believe Saint Giles was talking about last. Just with the defense, it's going to be interesting to see what Lamoriello does with that. Just because we have so many guys, especially on the defense, not really much flexibility unless you get Rickfield and a Pellick, and they do come with reasonable cap charges, but does a team that doesn't really want the guy, they're not going to be that easy to throw into a deal either.
Yeah, I believe they do. It seems as though management and the coaching staff are high on them. I believe they still have upside. So, and again, it's like everyone is coming into this season with a clean slate in that respect because it's a new coaching staff and new systems. So, yeah, all right. So you have players
It'll be
that
interesting. Yeah, it will just be interesting to see what kind of changes can even be made.
Yeah.
To get Devon Taves in there, maybe even get Sebastian Aho a look. I know that injuries will happen, but if this team is going to look substantially different, which I believe Lamoriello has every intent to do that, he's going to have to make some interesting moves. With some aging guys that he might not see a future for, maybe a buyout if possible. Like you don't know what we truly obviously don't know what Lamoriello think.
I mean, we also have unknowns in what he wants to do, and there's been speculation that Artemi Panarin could be someone that they could go after. The same thing with Bob, yeah. So
that's my hope and dream. That's my hope and dream, is to get a guy. That's the logical. Yep, that is obviously Plan A. Hopefully,
yeah.
Whether we can pull it off is another thing, but yeah, great that we're on his list and everything. That would for sure put us, in a good direction there. Getting a guy like Artemi, that would make for two pretty exciting lines, top two lines.
Yes, it would. Now, Luca Spiza, obviously somebody who. Another one of those curious moves where he was brought in on a PTO and got a 1-year deal, and he's been in and out of the lineup here. What are your thoughts there?
I don't mind it just because it's just a 1-year deal kind of thing. And if we had to waive him, in a situation, we wouldn't be worried about losing him. I'm sure we wouldn't, though, with that 1.5 price tag. Pretty sizable for a PTO signing, but a little surprising. But Lou always is. As long as he's not signing a guy like that to 4-year deal, I could live with it for the first year. This is a little bit of a of a restart year. So Spiza is, I guess teams have always kind of bashed the guy a little bit too much. So I kind of want to get on the bandwagon of Spiza, just kind of do opposite of everyone else. Hope the guy does the best until he does something that really throws him under the bus for me. I was looking at also the 2014 draft. I just wish we could have just got anyone else in that first round there.
It's one of those things. Again, hindsight. We can talk about hindsight and what you would have done differently all night.
Oh yeah,
it's one of those things.
some good names were there after. He was the consensus pick. I remember, everyone saying it was a logical move at the time. Just didn't get the right guy. But he is doing, I guess, pretty well in his first few games. I hear maybe in Bridgeport. So I guess there's still a chance.
There's always going to be a chance. It's just a matter if he kind of works it out between the ears, right? So.
Yep, good old Michael.com.
All right.
Boost that value.
Yeah. All right, Saints, we're going to bring you back in, too, so this way we could all just kind of close it out together. Any final thoughts, guys?
I'm excited. That's about it. I don't know.
Hopefully, we can win tonight. Oh my God, what's the score tonight?
It depends on goaltending, right?
4-2 Islanders.
Who's going to open up the scoring?
Beauvillier.
There you go. Finished off with a Barzal hat trick.
Oh, I'll take a good Barzy hat trick.
I'll take it only because I have him. Komarov.
Oh,
there you go.
I was just.
What's
gonna
the
say
line after that?
Oh, that's funny.
What are some moves besides the obvious that you want to see the club make here moving forward?
In season or the off season?
Start in season and then go to July.
In season, I would like Taves to be up by Thanksgiving time. So about a month or so. Because he was out all last year. I understand why he's down there. But he deserves to be up here once he gets a couple handful of games under his belt. I'd like to see Bellows get a shot eventually. Who else is there? Hosang. I don't know. He's had a shot. Off ice issues are just killing him, and he just doesn't play away from the puck well yet.
Definitely.
Those three I want to see. See if there's a Sorokin coming over eventually. I don't know what the deal is with him.
Going back to what we were talking about with Bob earlier.
I would love him.
Sorokin.
I would pay $9 million for him.
Sorokin loves Bobrovsky, and if we got him, at a reasonable contract, I think you see Sorokin come over here and play under him because they're like good friends, and he's like a mentor to him over in Russia. And I believe was it last season that he went out and
fishing with him?
Went fishing with him in Colorado or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year.
What's reasonable?
I don't know if I want to give him
8.5.
I don't even know if I want to go that high. I mean, he's going to be he's like 33 now or something? 32?
He's going to be looking. He's got to be looking for.
I think he's 30 or 31. And the Blue Jackets, I thought I heard, offered 5 years, $9 million the other day. That there's an offer on the table.
So maybe. So what do? You do 6 years at a little less, I suppose.
8.5.
I wouldn't want to go any more than that. That's he's on the wrong side of 30 as a goaltender.
Yeah, you go 6, 8 mil plus incentives.
I would, heavily.
You know what I mean? Like
heavy
a Vezina, wins per year.
Yeah,
I think we should find someone else. We got to find someone else that he also loves for cheaper. If you have Bob, do you need Sorokin?
Yes.
I mean, anything, I guess, to see the guy at least. Get over here.
Panarin, I could see. I would like Duchesne because a Duchesne Barzal down the middle combo, I think, could be better than a Tavares Barzal combo.
And what the irony there is, Duchesne was a guy that the Islanders could have picked in 2009. So, but do you trade 8 years of what Tavares did? I mean, he is a great player.
Honestly.
Look what the guy's doing in Toronto with the cast of characters up there. As painful as it is, and we don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's so painful. But their defense is as worse as ours was last year. So you can't stop the puck from going on your net. You're not going anywhere.
No, absolutely. And then Anderson got hurt, right? So I mean, it's a minor injury, but I don't think he he wasn't starting tonight, was he, or was he? I think actually he was, which is kind of dumb too. Why wouldn't you give him an extra night off?
Not sure. But it's just a minor injury, which is good. Never want anyone really injured.
No.
What other guys could you get?
Nick, any thoughts?
I mean, okay. I guess this is again, I don't offer too much analytically, but like if you're looking at, if you're watching tonight's game and you're looking and you say, like you predict where's going to be our sore spot this game, as with the past games that we've had. Is it in our defense? Is it our wing? Is it our inability to put it in the net, like in the first period? I noticed that's been an issue.
I
Is
think,
is that a player thing or is that a team thing?
I think it goes down to a little deeper than that in systems, and they went through camp with Trotz, and obviously things have been pounded into their head since he took over. But you're gonna see little mistakes and mental breakdowns because you got players that are going to revert to the easy way, the comfortable thing, and the comfortable thing is the way that they've played under Jack Capuano and Doug Waite. So, that stuff will come with time, like we spoke about, earlier. Anything else, guys?
Let's go Islanders.
All right, let's go Islanders. All right, well, hopefully you guys can stay up because I probably will not make it through, but I'll do my best.
Depends on how well they're playing tonight. That'll be the deciding factor.
All right, but I appreciate the help getting this set up, Nick, and I appreciate you guys participating. And it's something I want to continue to tinker with as we move throughout the season here. Again, it's one of those things where I wanted to give guys like you guys a voice and bring people out from some of the areas that maybe don't participate, like the Isles Reddit and some of the message boards and Facebook and just areas where maybe everyone doesn't necessarily get a voice and wants to kind of tinker with stuff like this. I think it's fun. So
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
no problem, guys. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Isles Faithful podcast, and we will see you next episode. All right. That's going to wrap it up for episode 11. As always, I'm your host, Mike Sherline. Do us a favor, and if you haven't given us a rating and a review on iTunes, if you can go ahead and do that, it would help us out so much. This week, I also got us on a couple of different other podcast apps and whatnot. I'll look for a link in the description for some of the more common ones. Also, if you could give us a follow on Twitter, Faithful Isles. You can follow my personal account at IslesBlogger. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. At this point, I shouldn't have to tell you every single episode where to find us. You know where to find us. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next week or later on this weekend in episode 12. Let's go Islanders.